Sullivan. So when I first started thinking about what to say for the speech during 6th hour today, I went through the usual stuff like, boy, my classmates are great, and hasn't Chippewa done a good job of preparing me for high school? But then I started thinking a little deeper about my 3 years here, and it came to me. What made Chippewa such a truly great experience were the teachers. Chippewa has really incredible teachers. They motivated us, they challenged us, and they made it cool to want to learn. So I thought I'd spend my time up here telling you a few short stories about these great people. For example, in our first year, a bunch of us who were up here tonight walk into English class, and there was a very proper guy wearing a button-down shirt and a tie, Mr. Skinner. At that point, I wished I'd chosen to wear something a little more proper than the SpongeBob t-shirt. But Mr. Skinner turned out to be a great guy. He demanded that we work our tails off, but he made it fun. We played Jeopardy to review for vocab tests, and we dutifully laughed at all his lame jokes, which, by the way, is rule number 6 of 15 ways to succeed in Mr. Skinner's class. I know that all of us left Mr. Skinner's class as better students, and it turns out Mr. Skinner has a SpongeBob tie. Then there was Mrs. Bateman. The rumor going in was that she was a former Vikings cheerleader. How cool that a Vikings cheerleader could get us to love math. Or Mrs. Nelson, who was smart enough to transform the study of force and motion into rockets and roller coasters. 7th grade exposed us to more great teachers, like life science teacher Mr. Larson. Maybe it was a little easier for Mr. Larson to make learning fun. How hard can it be to interest 7th graders in dissecting frogs? But we also learned about cell formation. Before Mr. Larson, who knew you could create new cells using jelly, M&Ms, mustard, and noodles? And how about Miss Berthume, who must have spent some time watching Lost on TV, since she had us design her own islands complete with personalized native peoples. I remember that for one tribe, the ruling class had the biggest sunglasses and the shortest loincloths. Finally, this year, which a lot of us thought it would be just kind of a coast into high school, we ran into more terrific teachers, like Mr. Swanson. Mr. Swanson is not a coasting type of guy. He teaches earth science, so his subject matter goes from the center of the earth to the end of the universe. You can't coast if you're going to cover that much ground. But Mr. Swanson got it done and made it fun. Then there's Mr. Walsh, who teaches design modeling on the computer. He and his dog Dake were everywhere this year. One day he showed up in Mr. Swanson's class, and Mr. Swanson was shining his laser pen through smoke to demonstrate the distortion of light. Without missing a beat, Mr. Walsh told Mr. Swanson that if you really wanted to teach distortion, you should grab a few more laser pens and crank up some Pink Floyd. Maybe that's the secret of all the teachers here at Chippewa. They don't lose sight of the fact that learning can and should be fun. As it says from Mr. Skinner's rule number 14, be prepared to laugh every day. On behalf of the 8th grade class, I'd like to thank all these teachers for the last 3 surprisingly enjoyable years.